G'day chaps, tis I, Clumpatcher139. Despite being a VR game, Batman Arkham Shadow has its fair share of cutscenes that tell the great mystery of Batman trying to find the chaotic Rat King. And while that aspect of the story is great, as I've broken down in my video analyzing the Rat King, it's not the best part of this story. Because, like all great media, there's a second story going on underneath it all that's ultimately better than the main plot. Much like Arkham Origins, Arkham Shadow has Batman grow as a person. But make no mistake, he is not going on the same arc 2 games in a row. Arkham Origins was all about evolving Batman as Bruce Wayne, learning to not take his surrogate father for granted, and more importantly, how to work with others. He's become less angry with the world as a whole, and has started to open himself up to working with others, but most importantly, has started to respect Alfred for everything he does. And we don't lose that Batman by time of Arkham Shadow. Bruce treats Alfred exactly as he should in this game, with the utmost respect. And he's even begun extending his helping hand to other people, Gordon and Dent, to more effectively take down crime. His arc was completed in Arkham Origins, and stays completed in Arkham Shadow. So, where exactly is there to go with this character? Evolving him as a hero. This Batman is young, violent, and still trying to learn what being a hero actually means. In Batman's eyes, there's only one answer: vengeance. I give you Batman's Rampage. Batman Arkham Shadow's one amazing scene. But before I can talk about that, I need to go back about 6 months to an even younger, more brutal Batman. Arkham Origins Batman is arguably the most brutal version of Batman from the Arkham saga.
You want teeth? I want answers!
At least when it comes to story stuff. This man will punch you in the face, then demand you talk or else lose more teeth. Drop you off a clock tower into a Christmas tree, knock you completely unconscious in a single hit, then demand to fight more people, send you flying across a room into a mirror, then hold you in the air with one hand while still punching you in the face for answers, lodge a sword into solid concrete and still have enough energy to knock you out in a few punches, punch you in your already broken ribs, then take control of your heart rate monitor to increase it to 200 beats per minute, slam your head into a desk, throw you across said desk, and then deck you in the face with a detonator, kill you by overcharging your heart, then revive you just to do it all again, and beat the life out of you for over 2 minutes straight, slam your full body into a stone altar, choke you out, and still punch you to knock you out. This guy has no limits to what he'll do to criminals. He is the reason crooks think twice before going out at night and pulling the trigger. He is fear incarnate. But what he isn't is a symbol of hope. Batman is a vigilante that the common man of Gotham may appreciate for bringing the crime rate down, but also very clearly does not feel safe around.
I'm not sure. Sure beat the hell out of those goons. I've heard about him. He's a criminal. You're so sure about him. Why are you whispering?
Just see what he's on.
Nobody's asking for Batman to save them. They're asking for him to beat the living snot out of the person sticking them up, which he's more than happy to oblige by.
Answer me!
This is what keeps this era of Batman from being a true hero. He doesn't save people so much as stop the people harming the innocent, which is what makes his character arc in Batman Arkham Shadow so important. Chapter 1 of Arkham Shadow centers on Batman trying to stop the 4th of July riots brought on by the Rat King. The city is in absolute chaos, people are in danger, and rats have infested every nook and cranny. They've taken over the sewers, the Monarch Theater, the very streets, and the courthouse. and Batman is the only one who can step in and stop them. And stop them he does. He comes across many groups of rats throughout the night and makes it his mission to absolutely annihilate every single one of them. And if you've played this game before, you know exactly how invested and brutal he gets during these fights. But Batman gets especially invested when he learns that the rats are targeting people close to him. While confronting a rat in the theater, shout out to Dick Grayson, he learns that the current target is the courthouse, which just so happens to be the location of Harvey Dent's crime prevention gala. A gala with people close to Bruce in attendance. Harvey and Dr. Leslie Tompkins. Hearing this fact immediately changes Bruce's demeanor, as he pushes the rat out of the building, falling a full story to the ground below. He then makes a break for the courthouse, hoping that he can make it before anything happens to the people he cares about. It's a mad dash to the building, but something interesting happens on the way over there. There are rats in the way. Now, you'd assume that with so little time on his side, he would surely just run past the rats and make a beeline for the courthouse, especially since it's only sparse encounters with singular rats. But that doesn't happen. Batman takes the time to fight them. He takes the time, which he doesn't have, to beat the hell out of these rats instead of running. The first two in Crime Alley technically put up a fight. They raise their fists upon seeing Batman run towards them, but every other rat you encounter on the way to the courthouse gets on their knees and surrenders. And yet,
I won't break the law again!
While I don't doubt speedruns will take the opportunity and completely skip these guys, I guarantee that every first-time player will brutalize all of these enemies when they get to this section. Because it just makes sense. By this point in the game, you've been going crazy for combat. It's been the highlight of the experience. So you take every opportunity you can to just throw hands. And with Batman screaming in the background of your actions, you feel completely justified as you technically commit a war crime against these guys. They're surrendering, and yet you attack them anyway? Batman's officially a war criminal, folks. Jokes aside, this is a fantastic showcase of gameplay-based storytelling. During this run to the courthouse, you are filled with just as much rage as Batman is. It's a complete power trip as you destroy every enemy in your path with a single takedown each, and the intense music only amplifying how angry you are, but how little time you have to waste. It's a perfect use of the game's mechanics to put you right in Batman's shoes. This whole scene is especially memorable because it showcases a mechanic only used one other time in the game: the infinite beatdown. When you fight the guys in Crime Alley, you're prompted to finish the last guy with a ground takedown, and when you do, you're not given the usual 5-punch slam combo. Instead, you're given a regular old attack indicator with an infinity symbol on it. So what do? Beat the ever-loving shit out of this guy for as long as you want. There's nothing stopping you. There's no time showing up on screen telling you to hurry up. There's no other enemies that are gonna stop you. The guy you're beating down can't fight back. He is truly and utterly at your mercy. And you don't have any.
What you've done to my friends, to my city, you don't deserve mercy. He's gonna kill us!
This part, above everything else in this scene, gives the player that final push over the edge to be as brutal as they want. It's the game basically telling you, this is your section to do whatever you want to these enemies. They can't fight back, because you're the goddamn Batman. It shows how scary Batman can be when he really wants to. These guys literally surrender just at the sight of Batman.
Waste of time.
And above all else, how brutal Batman is in this era. And his brutality is only amplified by the lines he delivers as he fights these rats.
I have a family!
They can't protect you.
This is a moment where Batman is seriously contemplating his no-kill rule. You can feel it in every attack and every line he delivers to these rats. And what makes it even greater is what happens right outside the courthouse. This fight is where you unlock the special combo takedown, a move that, quite literally, makes Batman see red. You've been taking it easy on these rats up until this point. When you get to the courthouse, you're done holding back. It's by far the biggest fight in the chapter, and yet it almost feels like a step down in difficulty thanks to the takedown. Batman is so mad that he can't lose, no matter how many rats are thrown his way. But in his eyes, this rage is completely justified because of what his end goal is, to save Leslie and Harvey. But to tell the truth, did you even remember that's why we were fighting? Or were you so caught up in rage with Batman that it completely skipped your mind? Did you actually care about saving Leslie when you did? Or were you too invested in the fact that you got a new corner cover takedown? Did you even care that you saved Harvey? Or were you too invested in interrogating Shrike to find the Rat King? Sure, you technically saved people, but was that really your end goal during this whole rampage? If Batman was really all about saving people, he wouldn't have taken the time to fight all these random rats that weren't even blocking his path. He wouldn't have punched this guy's face 30 times over just because he could. He wouldn't have knocked out every single person barely on his path who were surrendering just at the mere sight of him. He would have ran and never looked back. But he didn't. He fought every single one of them in a blind pursuit of justice. As Alfred himself says, punishment is not justice.
Punishment is not justice.
But Batman believes otherwise.
They harm Leslie and Harvey. Punishment is all that's left.
Doesn't that sound just a bit familiar? We'll come back to that. What I find interesting is how this model of saving the innocent rather than harming the guilty is pushed further the longer the game goes on. Chapter 1 ends with Batman stopping the rats in the courthouse, rescuing Leslie, then following Harvey and Shrike up to the roof. While Batman says that his goal is to save Harvey from burning alive at Shrike's hands,
Sir, is Mr. Dent?
Harvey's doused in gasoline. I have to be smart about this.
by the end, it's clear where his motivations actually lie.
Where's the Rat King?
Send me to Blackgate.
What's in Blackgate? The Rat King? I'm not putting you in Blackgate.
You really think the Rat King's in Blackgate?
He is, and I'll find him.
He doesn't just save Harvey from Shrike, he uses this opportunity to interrogate Shrike. You'll notice that after this scene, Batman does nothing to check up on or console Harvey, despite being one of his best friends as both Batman and Bruce Wayne. He just moves on like Harvey wasn't just at risk of being burned to a crisp. His main goal at the end of the night was interrogating Shrike to find the Rat King. And furthermore, the people he's saving are just people close to him. A real hero saves everyone, not just people that are close to them. Leslie and Harvey are two of the most important people in Bruce's life, so of course he's gonna go out of his way to save them. Would he have done the same if it was anybody else in the courthouse that night? Chapter 2 in Max Security follows a similar beat. Batman doesn't need to save anyone. His only goal is to find and take down Falcone because he believes he has some information about the Rat King. So that's all he does. He beats the crap out of Falcone and moves on with his day. It's chapter 3 where things change up a bit. While the chapter is, again, dedicated to finding information on the Rat King and Death Row, something changes at the end of the chapter. Batman meets Lyle Bolton face to face in his office. and Bolton basically starts fanboying.
When I heard you were in my prison, roughing up my men, I was honored. Big fan.
He talks about how much of an inspiration Batman has been to him, how his assault of Falcone was under Batman's methodology, and despite Batman saying he went too far, Bolton thinks he didn't go far enough.
Punishment is the only way to keep criminals in line!
Sound familiar?
They harm Leslie and Harvey. Punishment is all that's left.
Batman is becoming Bolton. Saving the innocent doesn't matter if the guilty are just gonna get right back up and harm them again. So, beat them up, lock them up. You can never go too far. These things you're fighting aren't people. They aren't worthy of mercy. They're scum. No better than the gunk you scrape off your boots. Why else do you think I've only been referring to them as rats this entire video? Did you even notice? Arkham Shadow is all about making sure Batman doesn't become the next Bolton. He should be punishing all of these rats in the cargo hold of the ship for joining up with a terrorist movement, but instead makes it his prime directive to save them, something Bolton wouldn't even consider doing. Bolton is spewing Bruce's words right back at him, showing Batman exactly what he could end up like if he doesn't change his ways, which is exactly what he does the next morning.
Enough!
Bolton is about to kill Falcone in front of the whole prison as some show of power over the criminals in Gotham. So Bruce decides to step in and save him, taking down Bolton in the process. While Bruce obviously needed to take Bolton out of the equation if he was going to make any progress on furthering his investigation, it was also because he knew Bolton was going to kill Falcone if he didn't. His main goal in kicking Bolton's ass was to protect Falcone. If this was a slightly earlier Batman, he probably would have left Falcone to Bolton's devices, then jumped in to take out Bolton after the fact. I mean, Falcone is the most notorious crime boss in Gotham history, who's just a pathetic old man at the end of the day. Letting someone else take him out would ultimately just further his cause of wiping out crime in Gotham. But because he knows it's wrong, and partly because he needs Falcone alive, he jumps in to save him and fight Bolton. And in doing so, Falcone is very grateful. He names Malone his right-hand guy because he stepped in to save his skin. And we're already seeing Batman get rewarded for fighting to save someone, instead of just fighting for the sake of fighting.
You saved my life. I'm here to repay the debt.
Then get me the hell out of here.
Oh, I am, because you and me got a job to do. Together.
It's also worth mentioning that this fight with Bolton is the only other time we see the infinite beatdown prompt in the whole game. There are so many other fights in this game, but this crazy power trip mechanic is only used 2 times. During the Rampage in Chapter 1, and against Bolton. And upon using it against Bolton, the only reason you stop is when you're pulled off by Tiger Guards because, and I quote, "you're going to kill him." This encounter is enough to put Bolton in the hospital for 3 days straight. A guy as massive and muscular as Bolton being stuck in the hospital for 3 days after a seemingly routine ass beating from Batman without any of his gadgets or equipment shows just how little Bruce has been holding back all these years. Imagine how long that rat we did the exact same thing to is gonna be recovering. He's just a normal dude who took on Batman with all of his equipment on. Bruce beat Bolton with his bare fists and nothing else, and still landed him in the hospital for 3 days. Just do the math. That rat may as well be in a coma for 7 years. It's very fitting that as Bruce grows as a person, he also starts holding back. This is the last time you get to use the infinite beatdown because Bruce starts to realize that if he were to keep going down this road, he would be doing the exact same thing as Bolton. That mentality of fighting someone with the goal of saving another continues into Chapter 4. Batman fights his way through the Arkham ward, seemingly with the goal of confronting Dr. Crane, but his true objectives shine through in everything he does. He first saves Dr. Quinzel by fighting off the Tiger Guards imprisoning her, then makes it his mission to save her patients that Dr. Crane took into his own custody. While Harleen thinks that John is the Rat King, sparking Batman's need to fight through that little bit more, it's clear that his motivations by the time he reaches Crane's office are to save rather than punish. His investigation proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Crane is a suspicious figure, that he tried performing dangerous experiments on Arnold Wesker, that he needs to be stopped. And when he and Harleen find the secret lab, his goal isn't just to defeat Crane, but help Arnold. The first thing he does upon entering the room is comfort Arnold by giving him Woody, asking him if he's okay, and telling him that Dr. Crane was trying to hurt him.
What are you doing here, Batman?
Dr. Crane was hurting you. Where did he go?
Only then does he ask where Crane is so that he can put a stop to it.
The missing prisoners. Where are they?
Duck people, I treat them.
And when he does finally break free of the fear hallucination and can confront Crane directly, he does say that he's not the Rat King, but then immediately asks him what happened to Quinzel and Wesker and the other missing patients.
Where are the missing prisoners?
If you mean Arnold Wesker, he's back in the unqualified hands of Dr. Quinzel.
The abducted rats!
While it seems like his focus is still clearly set on finding the Rat King, it's obvious that his motivations are starting to shift. He's starting to learn that it's more important to save people than to punish. And it's really telling that every single thing I've said in this video is literally said by the game itself during the Shadow Batman fight.
For his kind.
This is Batman going too far. This is Batman becoming Bolton. Shadow Batman eats Shrike, a fitting end for his kind. What does Bolton have in his office? Memorabilia congratulating Batman on taking his life.
You threw a man to his death off the courthouse roof. But now...
I don't kill.
Consider also that Roger Craig Smith has yet to say Batman's iconic phrase.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
At least, as Batman himself. He has, however, said a slightly altered version as Shadow Batman.
I am vengeance. I am Batman.
I am vengeance. I am Batman. Notice that he left out the middle of the phrase. He doesn't say, I am the night, which almost feels a bit lazy, right? Like, you're finally gonna give us the iconic phrase from Roger, but you're gonna cut out the pieces from it? Well, there's a pretty important reason for it. Even though in the phrase it's technically spelled Nigat, as in the thing the Earth experiences when the sun goes down, it can still be interpreted as the other spelling of night, with a K. Batman isn't the darkness descending on the Earth to prey on people. He's their savior coming out of the shadows to protect them. Batman's shadow is not this night. He is only vengeance, only punishment. No protecting, no saving, only vengeance.
You let evil live, then you must die.
But in standing up to his shadow and fighting back, he assures himself that he won't be going down that path any longer. Batman will not be Bolton.
Then why do you hide? You're not the Rat King.
And that all culminates in the final encounter with Harvey. Harvey has taken our old pal Commissary Joe hostage with the intent to kill him because Joe isn't just some random old timer.
The bastard that killed your parents, I found him. His name is Joe Chill.
Harvey made a vow to Bruce that he would find the man who did it and bring him to justice. And today, he's finally going to fulfill that promise. But this isn't what Bruce wants, because Bruce already knows Joe. He's come to know Joe during his time in Blackgate. He realizes that what Joe did that night still eats him up every single day. Not a moment goes by that he doesn't regret what he did. And he's worked his hardest the last 30 years to atone for what he's done and change.
The shadow never leaves you. You wrestle with it all the time. But you can learn to coexist.
He doesn't deserve to die at the hands of fake justice. And what's Batman going to get out of beating the crap out of an old man? What's there for Joe to learn at this point that he hasn't already figured out himself? He was ready to accept his fate at Harvey's hands. He was waiting for that shot to go off because he knew that he deserved it after what he had done. He doesn't expect any forgiveness, let alone mercy. But Bruce, knowing that it would accomplish nothing, stops Harvey. And he doesn't stop him with an attack, rather an admission of defeat by removing his cowl. Bruce barely even acknowledges Joe during this moment. Joe tries to profusely apologize as he walks off, but Bruce more or less ignores him, telling him to just get the hell out of here, because his focus isn't on Joe anymore. He doesn't need to be punished any more than he already has been. And now Joe is going to go the rest of his life knowing a secret that nobody else does. And know that the boy whose parent he showed no mercy to all those years ago decided to show him mercy.
Joe, just get the hell out of here. Joe, now!
Bruce's focus is now on Harvey. He already went down a dangerous path by being the Rat King, but he was about to go down an even darker one by killing Joe. Batman wasn't just saving Joe from an unjust murder, but saving Harvey from committing it. And what I think ties this whole finale together is the very final action you take against Harvey. Every other enemy you've defeated has been finished with an attack. Dick Grayson in the theater, Shrike on top of the courthouse, Falcone in the shipping yard, Bird in the gym, Bolton in the arena, Crane in the hospital. All of them have been finished with attacks. But Harvey? You grab. The final action you take in Batman Arkham Shadow is reaching out to save someone. You don't beat him up and lock him up for being the Rat King, the one who's caused all these riots in the first place, who kidnapped hundreds of prisoners in Blackgate, who rammed a giant ship into the GCPD, who was about to execute a man in cold blood for a mistake he made over 30 years ago. The man who caused this entire game to be set into motion. You don't attack him. You save him from falling to his death. If that's not what Batman is all about, then I don't know what is. Batman Arkham Shadow is the story of how Batman the Vigilante became Batman the Hero. And it all started during Chapter 1, when he realized that his rampage was almost for nothing. Seeing Bolton, what he could have become if he continued down that path, did help spur his change a bit faster, but that rampage through the streets of Gotham is what started him down that path to begin with. With all that said, please do all of the YouTube stuff, because he is finally the knight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, chaps.
You need me to fight crime. Why hold back?